There we
There we
go.
go.
Yeah. Welcome.
There was a big delay when I clicked go live and it actually going live. So, welcome
Maybe it was
everybody.
scared. Welcome, everybody.
This is Talking Movies with Sean and Kenny, and this is our first episode. And we want to welcome you all to our first show. Um, so, tonight we're going to just do some intros, kind of tell you who we are, what we're going to do, and then we're going to get into our topic, which tonight is going to be what happened to the summer blockbuster, which we're going to be talking about because it's coming up on the July 4th weekend, which typically is the beginning of the well, I guess it typically was the beginning of the summer blockbuster season back in the day, but it got earlier and earlier as time went on. But traditionally, that was the beginning of the summer blockbuster season, I guess. But Kenny, I will turn it over to you for some intros. So,
Yes. Thank you, Sean. My name's Kenny. I have been a movie fan since kind of like about 7 years old. I started watching my mom and my brother. We would watch old movies when we didn't have cable back then. I'm old. So we had the UHF channels, and usually Saturdays were like Dagwood and Blondie days and Bowery Boys, and mom loved her Doris Day movies, so we watched a lot of them and Jerry Lewis. And then in the afternoons, we would get the monster movies. So
yep.
we would get the Godzilla movies. We would get locally. I was born and raised in Philadelphia, so we had Doctor Shock. He was sort of like the Elvira or Svengoolie of Philadelphia, and he showed just like really bad B movies that you would sit and laugh at, sort of like on Mystery Science Theater. So I've been collecting movies probably since the mid 80s. I'd say 85, because we got our VCR, and that was like a huge thing in our house to get the VCR. And right down the street, we had a Rite Aid, and it was 99-cent movies for a night. So me, my brother, and my mom would go down there every Friday, and then like sort of when the mom and pops of the movies started getting bigger, we would just go basically and just like hit every movie,
Yep.
every movie rental place there was, and just like rent a bunch of movies, and that was our entertainment on Friday and Saturday, and of course Sunday was church, so we had to have them all back, in the car so we could return them on Sunday afternoon. But Fridays and Saturdays, was just basically staying in, watching movies, and just having a good time, because we didn't have a lot of money growing up.
Yep.
So, and that's basically it. I'm just obsessed with, I like watching any kind of movie. I'll watch any kind of movie at least once,
Yep.
So that's basic. That's basically it. And
Okay.
I just enjoy. It's a very good escape for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
How about you?
Well, I have loved movies since I was a kid. I remember one of my first memories as a kid was I was hooked on the Peter Sellers, Peter Panther, Pink Panther movies. We used to go to the theater to see them, and we used to watch them on TV when they were on. And I don't know that I fully understood what was going on, but I loved the humor. And I got this idea when I was a little kid that I wanted to have, because this is way before the internet, I wanted to have a giant poster-sized board where I could write down all the movies I'd ever seen. And lo and behold, now we have Letterboxd and IMDb and all that. But I always wanted to keep track of all the movies I saw, or back then you couldn't own them. And then when my stepfather got a VCR in 1981, I think it was a beta, unfortunately. And it was one of those top loading kind, like the super old with the wood grain paneling on the sides. It was super old. It was a Sanyo. And we couldn't find tapes for it. So we would just tape stuff off TV or off HBO, and that's how we quote unquote owned movies. We would just record them off cable. And then finally I got a VHS recorder player in 86, I think it was. And then I started buying them once they started becoming available. But I didn't start becoming a hardcore collector of movies until maybe 20 years ago, maybe.
Mm,
Um, I started buying DVDs, and I had a very small collection up until maybe, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. And then it blossomed into what you see behind me, which is not really my collection. It's just a picture of it, but it is my collection. Um, and now I'm kind of out of control. I don't have the time to watch most of the movies that I buy, but I still intend to watch everything I buy. It's just a matter of finding the time to do so. So everything is
exactly.
purchased, either I've already seen it or I plan to watch it. It's just a matter of finding the time to do it. So, but yeah, I've been a movie buff, collector, fan since I was a little kid. I think that's how I measured time when I was a little kid. Um, when a movie would come out, I would judge the date by what movie came out around that time. I could remember periods of my life by what movies came out around then. Like 1984, I can remember was a great time for movies.
Hmm.
Um, and I can picture things around that time. Like, was that before, um, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, or after Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, stuff like that. So,
Yeah,
oh,
when we used to get the Friday paper with all the movie listings and stuff like that, I had a notebook, and I would keep the note. I would keep the notebook and just say, okay, just say Big Trouble in Little China opened at this theater at
mm,
this time, and then I'd cut out the how much it made and
oh yeah,
put it in here, so I'd have it like elapsed, and it would just go, okay, well, this would be a bomb, you know, because it didn't make too much money, and especially when it opened on 2,000 theaters, I'll say,
yeah,
so I just used to keep track of that. So
that's cool. When did you start doing that? I'm sorry.
1985.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I
Damn.
used to. Unfortunately, it didn't make the move. I should have. I think I should have boxed all that up because I had basically like remember the black subject books that used to get in
Yeah.
school. The black. Okay,
What?
I used to get them. Yeah, the black composition ones. The hard with the hard one on it,
Yeah.
and I just used to write and put like say today, July 2nd, and then just tell the movie that it opened up and what theater near us, like Deptford 6 or Deptford 8, and then I just cut out and see, well, this opened up in 2000, 2000 theaters, and then just on Monday when they would announce in the paper how much it grossed, I'd get the book out and put the gross next to it,
That's
and
cool.
then I just do that every week. My
That's
mom's like,
awesome.
"This is stupid," and I'm like, "Well, it's keeping me off the streets, mom."
Yeah. I, I I kind of forgot one big part of my whole movie experience in life is, I used to manage and work in movie theaters for for quite a while. Um, I started working in theaters in 1988, and became a manager in 1989, 1990, somewhere around there. I became an assistant manager. I was a projectionist. I was actually digging through a bunch of my stuff yesterday, and I found my City of Cleveland projectionist license that I
Nice.
was required to get in 2004 because I went back to movie theaters for a bit in the early 2000s and managed a theater in Youngstown, Ohio. And then that's what actually brought me to where I live now, which is in Cleveland. Um, I got a job up here working for a movie theater for a little bit. So yeah, that was probably my dream job, except it didn't pay, and it made me meet a lot of weird people, especially here in Cleveland. But when I was managing a theater in Austintown, Ohio, which unfortunately isn't there anymore. But that was probably the best job I ever had because unfortunately the theater wasn't very busy, but I tried everything I possibly could to make it busy or at least
Hmm.
get some business. So I would take requests from customers on what movies they wanted to see because we showed art house movies. So I was able to go to my the manager of the company that I worked for and ask for movies, and he would book them, and I would get
Oh,
them like the next
great.
week. So yeah, I mean, what theater do you know, like in your area, where you can walk in and ask the manager, "Hey, do you think you can get this movie?" And then the next week it would be playing there. and it would
Yeah.
be, a French film or, a Spanish film or whatever, an English film, American film, whatever. It didn't matter. We would get things from all over the world. So I got to see a lot of things that I wouldn't normally see. So that was a lot of fun, but they kind of pulled the plug on that place and they said, well, you've done all you can do and
It's a
moved me
shame.
to Cleveland. So,
Yeah. Yeah, my favorite was I was working a full-time job at a retail place, and I started a second job at Movies Unlimited. They used
mhm.
to have like a big. They used to have like five stores around Philadelphia and New Jersey, yeah, in South Jersey, and the guy was like, anytime you want to come in, you can work, as many hours as you want. I'm like, okay, as soon as I get done work, I'll be there. So I worked 5 days a week, 8 hours at my first job, my real job. And then
Mhm.
I used to work about 42 hours at the movie place, 5 days a week because
Right.
I used to work every Sundays. And it was basically open till close because there was only like two people that worked on Sundays.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I didn't care. I didn't care because I was surrounded by movies. I got to talk to. That's why I miss like video stores so much because you got to talk to people,
Yep.
and I like a diverse amount of people. And Movies Unlimited, they were like great because they had like different thing. They had like a kaiju section, a Jimmy Stewart section, a Humphrey Bogart section. So it wasn't like you were getting 88 copies of Jerry Maguire that you had to push.
Right.
You know, you
Yeah.
got like very diverse movies. Like I remember we had this couple that came in all the time that rented one Dark Shadows video every day. And you remember Dark
Mhm.
Shadows, the serial?
Yeah.
The VHS tapes had one episode, and they were like about 400 videos of them.
Wow.
Okay, and they used to come in every day and rent because I used to pull the next because I knew they were coming in. I used to pull the next episode behind, so
Right.
nobody took it for them. You
That's
know,
great.
so and that was all they rented was anything horror, anything spooky. Was
Yeah.
they got Dark Shadows and the robot one, the Japanese robot one, Astro Boy, Astro Man,
Yeah. Astro Boy. Yeah.
Astro Boy. Yeah,
Yeah.
they rented them all the time in every episode, so it was like really funny. So hey,
Got it.
Patrick.
Yeah. Patrick's joining us. He said he used to chat with his clerks too once they stayed and didn't leave.
Yeah. That's it. Ultraman, Johnny Sacco.
Oh,
Ultra,
okay. Yeah.
yeah, that was it. Yeah,
Yeah. I've never seen Johnny Sacco. Ultraman was a big favorite of mine.
yeah, that was it. It was Ultraman, Patrick. Yeah, now that I remember, because I just remember the box. It's funny how you remember the boxes on certain things, and then when you go to like watch it like on the Netflix or something, it's a totally different art picture from
Right.
the box.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to get into our topic?
Yeah, let's get into our topic.
All right. So we're going to be talking about what happened to the summer blockbuster. And Kenny, the idea for this topic came from you. So what prompted you to think of this topic?
Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day, and usually like especially like in the 80s and 90s, used to go every Friday, Saturday to the movies, especially like in the 80s. And I just remember like you would see like the previews, coming this, July with that guy with the big booming voice, the trailer guy. And he was like Tom Cruise, I think Top Gun was like the very first like 80s blockbuster that I like during the summer that I remember,
Mm,
you know. I know like you had said Jaws was like big in 75, but I was 5.
yeah.
You know, I actually didn't see Jaws until like I was 25 or
Oh
26.
wow.
Yeah, because that movie didn't like kind of stay with me as much.
Right.
But man, a top Top Gun was like a really big thing, and I think it had a lot to do with like changing people's perspective. I mean, I remember I used like even hairstyles because I
Hmm.
remember coming home seeing that, and I said to my mom, "I want my hair like Tom Cruise, like the short, spiky, the wet look and stuff." She's like,
Yeah.
"Okay, we can do that," because I used to have my hair cut in wings,
Oh
with
yeah, the feathered look.
the feathered look, yeah,
Yeah.
the Bee Gees look, you know. So I used to carry that on, and then
1979 on your head.
yeah, basically. So and then I seen Tom Cruise, and it was sort of like what Flashdance did for the girls,
Mhm.
with how they dressed and stuff, and like you seen like guys like especially like when I was in high school, all the guys had the wet look, the short spiky hair. They had the aviator jacket like Tom Cruise, and that was like always a big thing. You go to summer, you're not going to see like Schindler's List in January. I mean, June or July.
Right.
You just want things to blow up, see a pretty girl, and go home. You
Right.
know, but
Yep.
that's what kind of because the last couple of years, especially like with the writer strike and stuff, there really hasn't been any like big blockbusters that came out.
So when you say blockbuster, you're talking like cultural like impact, not just money. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, because when I think of like even like Independence Day,
Mhm.
which was a big July 4th blockbuster, a lot of things changed with that too because like Will Smith was like a very bankable person at that time, you know, and just like the tone. I guess I guess it's not like like sort of like Flashdance or Footloose or something like that. It's just that like you don't have like things that are big anymore,
Right.
you know, because
Yeah.
everything seems to be a cookie cutter of everything else. Let's remake this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like when I think of like summer blockbusters, I think Armageddon,
Mhm.
you know, Wild Wild West. These are just like big popcorn movies that you went in and you just put your brain aside for 2 hours and just enjoy the movie.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, I was doing some digging around in uh I think it's called The Numbers. It's a box office movie website. And I was looking at the difference between like 2024 and 2023 since it's a complete year. We don't have all the numbers obviously for 2024 yet. And was looking at like what were the big money makers in 2000 versus today.
hmm
And it really you would think okay, the big money makers for 2000 were original screenplays. Um and you would think okay, well nowadays, 2023 the big money makers would be superhero movies or sequels or whatever, but it was still original screenplays. We're still driving the box office, at least in terms of how the numbers define them.
right,
Um, but in terms of perception, I don't think that's the case because maybe they're original screenplays based on they were written for the screen, but they're not. They're still based on um, previous IPs. So you've got like we were talking before we went live about this coming weekend. We've got Despicable Me 4 coming out. Um, is that going to do box office numbers like Inside Out 2, which is the
yeah,
big hit this year? Um, I don't know. And like every movie that you've mentioned before was an original IP. They were all brand new, original. You hadn't seen them before. And it's not like sequels didn't exist in the 70s. There was Jaws 2 and Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi and all that stuff. Back to the Future 2 and 3. I mean,
yeah.
Ghostbusters
Karate
2.
Kid too. Yeah,
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 but that wasn't all that was in the theater. That because now, as soon as you've got an original IP, if one manages to squeak through, um, that immediately they'll clone it, they'll duplicate it, and they'll just keep making sequels until it runs out of gas.
right.
Um, yeah, Patrick said, kids movies generally do very well, and
That's true, but
yeah,
usually they'll throw out. it used to be seemed to be in the 90s. They used to throw one or two kids movies, but they would hold the kids movies for Christmas time.
Hmm.
You know, especially when mom and dad are on vacation and they can go. And you that's when you got like all the Disney movies that
Yep.
came out, you know, at Christmas time. So there wasn't that many. Yeah, kids movies are generally they do well during the summer, but you don't have that many, I don't think, during the summer as you do during the winter. During December, especially Thanksgiving weekend.
Right. Like when I was managing theaters, what we would see is usually like everybody knows January is like the wasteland for bad or perceived to be underperforming
Yeah,
movies
that's
to
the
be
stuff
released.
that's been on the shelves for a couple of years that they
Yeah,
just,
it's like the dead zone. Nobody wants to leave the house to go see a movie in January, so we'll just dump whatever. And occasionally you'll get a surprise hit, like
Paul Blart.
yeah, something like that. But that'll be the dead zone. And then, like in March, when things are just starting to maybe warm up a little bit in springtime, then a couple kids' movies might come out. Like I remember Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in
Hmm.
like 1990 that came out in the springtime, and that was huge.
Yeah,
Um, and then once the summer comes, then that's when your general, I don't want to say family movies, but general purpose applies to everybody, or uh, your all-purpose movies that your all audience type movies. I mean, you're not going to get a lot of like hard R movies during the summer. You'll get some, but you're going to get your PGs, your PG-13s. That's what's going to come out.
yeah,
That appeals to as many people as possible. And then going into the winter time, that's when you get your award-winning films, your Oscar stuff. And then at Christmas time, when all the kids are out of school, then you get your hardcore Christmassy stuff and your
yeah.
hardcore family stuff. Um, but I think that's changing now too. At least it seems to be, and it's hard, like you were mentioning about the strike and all that. It's hard to base what's going on currently with this year because things are just goofy this year. Um, with the strike affecting movie release schedules and what was on the shelf and what could come out versus what they could get finished before this summer. Because there's been very few releases. Like it's been, I don't know. Like it seems like movies, like we maybe get one movie every week, maybe every other week we'll get two. And in the past, we would get like three movies a week,
Yeah.
like when it was really heating up, when the big blockbusters, or they would move the schedules around and we'd get one huge movie every weekend, you know? So it's weird, but I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that movies just aren't what kids, not kids, because I don't think it's kids, because kids don't make consumer decisions with their money. I'm talking like teenagers who have disposable income and have jobs and have iPhones and iPads and all that kind of stuff. I don't think movies is what they're wanting to do anymore. That's
No, you're right.
not that's not high on their list. And with the internet and video games and YouTube and TikTok and whatever the kids are doing these days, it's movies aren't real high on the list for things to
Yeah.
do or waste their time doing.
We didn't have that alternative,
Right.
because they had like those kids today can go into Switch. What is it? Switch. It's like a gaming thing, like a gaming chat room. Twitch. Is it Twitch?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's Twitch. They can go in and they can see like famous people, like Logan Paul play like Sonic.
Right.
So they could, so they could spend hours in there. I mean, if it was like in 1989 and Samantha Fox was playing Sonic the Hedgehog, I think I would have been, I think I would have been watching Samantha Fox play Sonic the Hedgehog, or hey, Paula Abdul's going to play Pac-Man for the night, straight up, So it's like, but they don't. I don't think kids get is. I know with my nieces, they're only conformed when it's a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
To go see. Oh, it's like, oh, we got to go see this one because it's Marvel. I mean,
Hmm.
they're not even excited because I was telling them, like, you've been sharing pictures about the Superman
Hmm.
filming in your area,
Yep.
and and they're like, oh, that's DC, it's not Marvel,
Right.
so it's like they're not even excited because it's a new superhero movie. It has to be, you have that allegiance, DC people, Marvel people. So, and it's the same with like the kids movies too. A lot of people won't watch Pixar movies because they're Disney's woke, or
Right.
or something like that. So it's like, and when's the last DreamWorks movie that came out?
Oh man,
I can't even remember a DreamWorks movie that came out.
I don't remember. We got some people in our comments. Maybe they can tell
Hey
us.
Brian, how you doing, dude?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Brian, for the support. And thank you for supporting Alfster.
Yeah, Alster Cards, Mr. and Mrs. Alf. Yes, we love our cookies.
Yes.
We love our cookies even more than the movies sometimes, especially when I watched Madam Web. I really enjoyed the cookies.
Kung Fu Panda 4, I believe.
Is that okay? Oh yeah, that is a DreamWorks movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. Okay. There you go. I Yeah. We should have known that because I bought it from Alf. Kung Fu Panda 4. I bought it from Alf. So yeah, I should have realized that. Yeah, but
yeah, you were talking about your niece, my nephew, um, mine's in the mail. I haven't gotten it yet. I haven't seen it, but I got it from Alf.
yeah,
Um,
Patrick paid a quarter for his. We paid $6 from Alf for that movie. So, dude, you got a bargain. It wasn't. I'll say this: it wasn't as bad as people had said it was, but it wasn't the greatest piece of it wasn't a very good superhero movie.
yeah, I'm
I'll
gonna
just say
watch it out of
that.
curiosity, morbid curiosity, more than
that
anything
that's
else.
how it was for me. I didn't want to just hear everybody say, crapping on it.
Yeah,
I wanted to see it for myself, but
yeah,
because I do like Dakota Johnson,
yeah. I mean,
you know.
she's easy on the eyes. We'll just put it that way.
But the other girls, I'll let you watch. I'll let you guys watch it before I comment too much on it because I don't
All
want
right.
to form. I don't want you guys to form an opinion just on my stupid theory.
Well, what I was going to say was, you were talking about your niece and allegiance to Marvel and stuff. When I got married, I became an uncle. Um, and my nephew, I thought, oh, one of the things I could try to bond with my nephew would be movies. And
Right.
he could care less about movies. His big
Wow.
thing is, um, he likes watching people play video games on YouTube, which still to this day boggles my mind. Now he plays a lot of video games himself. He has a gaming PC and he plays a lot of games online with his friends, which is a social thing, so I get it.
Yeah, that's fine.
But the watching somebody play a game on YouTube for hours on end, I still don't quite understand that, but whatever. Um, Patrick said, "Yay, library sale."
Yeah. I mean, he gets them for a quarter a piece. So
Yeah, but yeah, I just think what is going on is, back in the day we had was movies. Now there's just so many ways that entertainment has been fractured into a million pieces. And even
mhm.
TV, it's not the same, like back. I know it's an old story and it's a cliche, but when they had the finale for MASH, the season or the series finale for MASH,
Yeah.
at the end, in New York City, when it was over, everybody flushed their toilet and it caused a problem because there was a pressure overload,
Hmm.
and they had plumbing problems in New York City because that's what everybody was doing, because everybody was having a shared experience because there was 3, 4 networks.
Yeah,
Um,
and plus with like TV shows like me and my mom used to be like big fans of like like the TV soap operas, like Dallas Dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have VCRs at that time,
Yeah.
so if you didn't watch it, mom couldn't go in the next day, or I couldn't go into school the next day and say, "Hey, Helen, did you
Yeah.
what's Jr. Especially with the Jr. Who shot
Who shot
Jr.
Jr.?
thing."
Yeah.
So if you didn't watch that, and there's like so much TV,
Yep.
out there now with the streaming services and stuff like that, and yeah, it's amazing, and it's like I think that like what you said, I think the I think it's like the Blockbuster got like kind of like squeezed
Mm-hmm.
because there's not a lot of like I just watched one on Netflix that I think could have been like one of those like rom com uh, Blockbuster ones with
Mm-hmm.
Zac Efron, Joey King, and Nicole Kidman. It's called A Family Affair,
Hmm.
and it's a cute. I've never even heard of Joey. The only people I heard of was Nicole Kidman and Zac Efron. But Joey King, she was great in this movie. She really cute. She plays um his like assistant. Like he's like one of these like big superstars,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like his personal assistant, and what happens is he falls in love with her mom, Nicole Kidman.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a cute story, but I think if they released that and made it one of the funny comedies of the summer or something, I think that could have made money. But it's like it's like I had posted to you guys a couple of weeks ago. Where's the they spent $150 million on Beverly Hills Cop 4 that's
Right.
premiering on the Netflix. Where are they getting that money from? How are they going to get that money back? Because if you notice, like that was another thing when you had blockbusters. Okay, like if you had like Jurassic Park came out in May, right?
Um, the original, you mean?
Yeah, in '93, it was
I
May,
think it was
right?
June or July.
Was it okay? Okay,
Yeah,
well,
I
just go
think
with
so.
like ones that we commonly like. Batman '89.
Right.
You couldn't get enough interviews of Michael Keaton, Jack
Yep.
Nicholson, Kim Basinger. Hell, they even talked to Robert Wall. You know,
Yeah.
and they were like all over Johnny Carson. Letterman. The you know they yeah. There you go, Patrick. Joey King is a rising star. She was really good in that movie, but they do more publicity for that,
Mm-hmm.
for those back in the '80s. And I don't think kids like I was a big Letterman fan. I used to give up sleep,
Mm-hmm.
before school to watch Letterman because he had people that I could identify with. He
Yep.
had like REM on that Johnny Carson would never have on.
No.
He had Bill Murray on. You
Yep.
know, so it was like people that I watched and I listened to. He actually had on. You
Yep.
know, and they were always on doing like I just was watching it on the YouTube. He had John Candy and Eugene Levy on to promote Armed and Dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
That was a summer movie too. It was a late summer movie that came
Yep.
out, and they were like all over doing TV. So
Yep.
it's weird. I think there's like you said, a lot that goes into it. Kids are not fans of like things that we were, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, like Patrick said, he said the late night talk shows have lost their influence, and there's far too many outlets, media outlets now.
Yeah,
Um,
you're right.
yeah, yeah, everything is fractured. I mean, if you've got a rabbit hole that you're interested in, you can dive so far deep into that, and you don't see anything else. You can wrap yourself in a big bubble of remote control cars, and just that's all you're going to see for the rest of your life if you want to,
Yeah,
because you can go on YouTube and watch everybody and their mother who loves remote control cars and not watch anything else. And you could come away thinking that everything in your life is centered around remote control cars, because all you watch is that. And you would probably wonder why everybody else in your life isn't into remote control cars. I'm just picking remote control cars for no
No,
real
you're right.
reason.
I mean, they
But
actually have, if you go into YouTube, they have a 24-hour stream of trains, trains
yeah.
going around a track.
Oh
So,
yeah.
but no, you're right. I mean, you could do, because I sometimes if I can't sleep, they'll have Mystery Science Theater,
Yep.
loop,
Yep.
like live, with
Yep.
people like talking, watching the show. So yeah, it's just like, I mean, when your top shows like with network shows and stuff that are getting the highest, maybe about 5 million people watching it, that there's
Yeah.
something wrong. Especially like when I post these things on my blog about like shows that were like you had said, Mash.
Mm-hmm.
Over 100 million people watched the last episode of Mash.
Yep. That's never going to happen again
Never.
unless it's the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Because that's like the only thing that draws anymore.
yeah, it's the super. I mean, not even the Oscars,
No.
Get those numbers. And I remember they used to be really huge in the 80s. We
Mm-hmm.
watched every award show.
Yep.
Because it was something interesting. You actually had stars. That's another topic I want to get into. One week.
Yeah, sure.
But
Yeah.
it's just like you actually had stars back then. Now these kids, I don't even know. Like apparently, like after I watched that movie with Nicole Kidman, I researched that girl, Joey King. I had no idea who she was.
Yeah, I've never heard of her. So
Yeah,
you and Patrick are way ahead of me. I don't know who
yeah,
that is.
really, really pretty girl, and she's done. I think she's been in the business for 10 years. I
Oh,
had
really?
I had no idea who she was. You
I'm
know,
pulling her up right
yeah,
now.
she's really cute kid. But it was just the fact that I was like, because especially when you see Joey, you think of like waiting for a boy to come, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just like, oh, okay, she's cute. Yeah, there she is.
Wow.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, after it's like after you get done watching somebody, you're just like, okay, now I have to, like the first time I ever seen Juliette Binoche. Okay, I love Juliette Binoche. First time I ever seen her in a movie, I was like, okay, now I have to get every Juliette Binoche movie. I have to see everything that she's done, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this little girl, I is really, yeah, here, and Kathy Bates is in it too.
Oh, cool.
She plays her grandmother, but it's and she's got like, I think she could be a real like big comedic actor, you know.
It looks funny.
Yeah, it's cute, and I was never a big Zach Braff. No, I've
Zach
seen Zach
Braff.
Braff here, Zach Efron fan. I've never been a big fan of his because I wasn't in that demo for High School Musical.
Right. Right.
Okay, but the movie he did with Tom Lennon was funny. 17 again, where it was sort of like the Dudley Moore, like father like son kind of thing.
Mm.
The trading, ages and stuff like that,
Oh, like
and age reversal. Like,
yeah.
and I thought that was kind of cute, and I loved him in Iron Claw. I thought he was great in Iron Claw.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He was fantastic in that.
I'm really surprised that he hasn't done like how they turned Bruce Willis into a action star. I'm really surprised they haven't turned him into an action star.
Hmm.
You know, because you don't really have that many action. I mean, you got Jim from The Office as an action star now. In the Tom Clancy show.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another topic we might want to get into is what I don't want to be that show though. We're like, what happened to this?
Yeah.
Like I said, we're going to be the two aging Gen X guys who sit around. yelling at the
yelling
clouds or
at the
whatever.
cloud. But
What happened
it's
to
true.
this?
But it's true. It's like if you
It's
look
better
back
than
and
I did.
Patrick, watch Iron Claw, dude, because you're gonna really like it. It's really good, and it's 2 hours and 12 minutes, but that time goes really fast.
Yeah. Yep.
And the girl in it, I don't know, Green. Is it Eva Green? No, Lily Allen. I think Lily Allen.
Oh,
She's
the
the star.
plays his wife.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolute star,
Yeah.
star of that movie.
Yeah.
She is fantastic in it.
Yeah. That whole movie is really good. It's hide all your sharp objects in your house after you're done watching it though, because
Oh
it's
yeah, and
super
keep a
depressing. But
tissue handy too,
yeah, it's a
because
great movie. Um, yeah, I just I don't know. Sometimes I sit around and wonder is it me? Is it just us getting older that things are just moving in a different direction naturally, or um, are these things not really fading away, or is it just that
I,
um,
th- I
you
think they're
know
going. I think they're going away. I don't think it's because we're old. I just think it's. I think things. You know, you always see like the progression of things. There's always a difference of what happens in life. It's like what didn't offend you at 20 might offend you when you're 55.
right?
You know what I mean? And it's just like, and then you think back and it's like, how did I like this? But you mature. But with what we're saying with the summer movies, you're always going to be that way, you know, of thinking about just like mindless fun. Hey, Mr.
Hmm.
Dan.
Hey, Mr. Dan.
So I don't think it's that like we get, because like Mr. Dan has a great channel on the YouTube. Check him out, and he's been going through like kung fu theater and stuff like that. So I'll actually go
Hey,
back
Patrick.
and watch it. See you, Patrick. Um, and go and watch them. And I haven't seen those movies. I'm not kidding you, in like 40 years. But I
Yeah,
enjoy it. I just don't think. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't think. I think we're getting older, but I think the time has passed that by what we're used to.
hmm yeah,
Am I making myself clear? I don't think I am, but it's just I don't think that we're all getting older, but I just think it's like people are doing different things
right. Yeah,
with it.
I like part of me is like we were talking earlier, like Inside Out 2 is doing crazy money right now and technically could be considered a summer blockbuster, but we were talking about how we don't really perceive it that way. Number one, because it doesn't necessarily appeal to us, but it still appeals to a lot of people.
Right?
I want to see it, but I don't want to go to a theater to see it because I don't want to sit in a theater full of screaming kids.
Yeah.
But when it comes on Disney Plus, I'll be all over it, or Blu-ray or whatever. But that's how I watched the first one at home.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't know that there's that many movies that I would go to the theater to see nowadays that would be considered blockbusters.
Hmm.
Like Furiosa, I went to the theaters to see that, and it flopped, and I didn't expect it to.
Yeah.
But apparently, nobody wanted to see that, at least not in the theater. Now it's out on digital. I don't know how well it's doing right now. I haven't checked. Um,
Well, here's another one that's crazy. The new Quiet Place just came out.
yeah, that did good.
Okay, that did good. It's coming out Friday on digital. The new Quiet Place.
Are you kidding me?
I swear on my life, I just seen. I should have sent it. I usually send stupid things to you anyway. I should have sent that to you. And it was like it's made like I think they said $338 million like worldwide or something like that already.
Yeah,
And
I'll pull it up.
yeah, and yeah, it's. I think I actually seen an advertisement in between watching Office reruns. Coming to digital.
That is insane.
Yeah.
Then
so it's like why? Because I'll tell you guys because I told Sean this before. The last movie I went to see in the theater was Guardians 3 last year.
Mhm.
Okay, between the tickets, popcorn, and everything, it cost me $85.
Yep.
Okay, and that's not even it was just like uh, it was four tickets, two big popcorns, and two big sodas.
Yep. That doesn't
And
surprise me.
yeah, and it's like, and then what was it? Like a month later, it was hitting digital, and then you could buy it 2 months later. So it's like, why am I going to spend $85?
Exactly.
To see a
Right.
movie when I can wait a month or two to buy it,
Yeah.
physically.
And that's one topic that we didn't touch on at all so far is the digital thing.
Yeah,
We've talked about, the fact that we might be the wrong audience and the wrong age, and the fact that there's too many people doing too many other things rather than going to the movies. But for those people that like to go to the movies, like me, there's a lot less reason to want to go to the movies. A, because when you go, the people who go are usually, well, not usually, but there's always at least one grade A asshole in the theater,
theater.
or at least a group of them who are ruining the experience for everybody else because they're in there with their phones shooting TikTok videos, or you know uh, shooting flash photography or whatever,
Yeah,
and then nobody will do anything. And usually it's me who gets to be the grumpy old man and miss part of the movie to go out and complain.
and there's
And
nobody around because that was another thing.
yeah.
When we went. It was a 8:30 show, Saturday night.
Yep.
Okay, 80s and 90s. That was usually pumping. You had people in the arcade waiting to go, to the movies. You had like 20 cashiers doing popcorn and stuff. The night that we went, it was just the five of us,
Mhm.
six of us. I'm sorry, six of us. There was one person behind the popcorn counter.
Yep.
And they didn't even, because this is how old I felt. I felt like I was transport time. I said to my niece, I said, babe, do we have to get the tickets from the ticket person? And they're like, Uncle Kenny, you just go and just swipe your card and just punch how many tickets you want.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? And
Yeah.
she goes, when's the last time you went to the movies? I'm like, Cars 2, you know? And it was just like I felt like so old, but it was like a Saturday night when you would think you'd have young people. We were the only people in there.
Wow.
We were the only people in there, and then a couple people. I think M counted there was 26 people in the theater when we went to see it on a Saturday night,
Wow.
and it was opening weekend.
You're talking about the
26.
entire
Yeah, the
theater.
whole theater. There was
Wow.
26, and there was five of us. And I even said to M, I said, I hope this movie makes its money back because 26 people
Yeah.
at an 8:30 showing.
That's that's sad.
Yeah, it's sad. And
And
I
that was
remember going to like midnight showings. I was telling her about when I seen with the Rocky Horror Picture Show,
Oh yeah.
and people were dressed up and they're throwing toilet paper at the screen.
Yep.
I had no idea. I went in, not even thinking, and people were dressed up like, with the '90s, like Frankenfurter and stuff like that.
Right.
I had no idea what I was in for.
Yep.
But they don't even do that anymore. I think their last show is at 10:30.
As far as I know, the one theater here in Cleveland that does Rocky Horror Picture Show, they won't allow you to bring anything to throw at the screen or
Oh, is
throw
that
in the
right?
theater.
Okay.
Yeah, because people have damaged the screen, and I know firsthand how much it costs to clean a movie
Okay.
screen, and it's not cheap. Um, it's They don't want to risk the damage to the theater. It's just not worth it, because people, since the pandemic, people have turned into idiots. I mean,
Yeah,
not that
you're
people
right.
weren't idiots beforehand, but there seemed to be carte blanche to be complete idiots on social media, in public now, everywhere. Um,
Yeah.
that my preferred time to see a movie is like at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Sunday, because nobody's there, you
Right.
know, because I can sneak in and maybe there'll be 3 or 4 other people there who are usually about my age and, aren't worried about, their views on TikTok, you know, and making complete asses of themselves in the theater. But I think I told you the story. I went to see Godzilla -1, the black and white version, my Godzilla -1 minus color,
Hmm.
which is, not exactly a mainstream film. It's a subtitle Japanese movie in black and white that, made a little bit of money, but was by far not a huge giant box office success mainstream wise. And I went on a Saturday night thinking, well, nobody's going to go see Godzilla. Young kids are going to go see something else. And sure enough, 3 girls sat 3 seats down from me, and they started getting their phones out, and they had the lights on and everything else. And I because I'd seen the movie twice before that, I loved it. I just got up and left. There was a half hour left in the movie, and I just went home.
Wow.
I didn't even bother complaining. Just left. So had I not seen the movie, I would have been totally pissed. But I'd seen it twice before.
Yeah.
But that's the mistake I made for going on a Saturday night. There was just kids in there being jerks because they thought, oh yeah, we'll go see Godzilla. Nobody's going to care. I don't know.
No,
But
you're right.
it's just, people don't know how to behave in theaters. So why would you drop, like in your case, $85 for food and tickets, and then add that to the fact that in 2 weeks it's going to be on digital, and you can stay home and watch it in 4K on your TV
Hmm.
and pause it, go to the bathroom when you want to, you know,
Make your own pizza.
make your own pizza, make your own food,
Yeah.
invite all your friends over for free,
Hmm.
whatever you want. How can the theater compete with that experience? And the studios make that possible, and then want to know why movies aren't doing well at the theater.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Maybe make some exclusivity agreements with the theaters that you're going to run it for 2 months in the theater
Yeah.
before you run it on digital. Because if everybody knows that in 2 weeks it's going to be on streaming, even if you have to pay $14 to rent it, why would you?
That's why I'm kind of really surprised that Inside Out made so much money. It did
Mhm.
because how they've Disney Plus has screwed like Lightyear by putting it like a couple weeks after on Disney Plus. I
Mhm.
know Raya, that Raya movie.
I don't even
Um,
know that one.
what the hell is it called? Raya the Lion Girl or something. That was another Disney movie that they spent. I think they spent like over $300 million on, and they just threw it on Disney Plus. And it's just like and the graphic that I sent you today, it was like Disney Plus is just barely uh, tied with Tubi on
Right.
on streaming.
That
You
that
know,
surprised me. That really surprised me.
I mean, and that is beating um, Paramount, Max, like all the big ones.
Mhm.
And that's why it's like, especially with Disney Plus, I can't believe a lot of people are just getting because they're tired of the whole Disney thing. You know,
Yeah.
the, we can have a separate conversation about the woke thing, or I don't, really get the whole situation with that. But I just think if it's a good movie, people like Field of Dreams. People will come, Ray. They will come. They will come if the movie's good. But I mean, we're on Quiet Place 3.
Mhm.
Everything's a sequel now. These guys do not have an original thought in their heads,
Yep.
you know, and they just keep on. That's like the same with like network shows, you know. Hey, let's have NCIS Sydney, let's go to Hawaii with this, because they do well overseas syndicating the show, and if the show doesn't do good in the local area, you know, we can always syndicate it to Paris. We can always syndicate it
Mhm.
over there. And I think that's what a lot of what you're getting with the theaters now too, that they're just going, well, let's see how much we can get from these streaming services,
Yep.
to put these movies on. That's why I still don't understand how Beverly Hills Cop is going to make its money back.
Yeah, it's like if you don't already have Netflix, are you going to sign up for Netflix to watch Beverly Hills Cop 4?
I know I signed up personally just to watch Godzilla.
Well,
I, I
that's because
mean,
you have good taste.
yeah. I mean, I signed up for a month of Netflix, and they're like, "Oh, we want you back." And I'm like, "They're the only I watched Godzilla 4 times in the month, and
Wow.
I watched the Nicole Kidman movie,
Okay.
and I just watched that on the 29th. That was like because the 30th of June was my last day,
Right.
so there wasn't that much on Netflix that I wanted to watch.
Yeah.
You know, uh, I mean, we can get into that sometime too. But like these streaming services are also like they're competing with each other, but a lot of them have the same movies on there.
Right. So they go for the original content.
Yeah, it's
And
like
then
because Netflix had Slap. That was another one I rewatched the other day. Slapshot. It was like
Mhm.
1 o'clock in the morning. Hey, let's watch a comedy. So I watched Slapshot. Well,
Right.
that was on Max, but it was also on Netflix.
Mhm. Yep.
And it was like it was good because I didn't have to sit through commercials on Netflix because the cinema Max is no no commercials.
Right. Yeah, I don't I think I what's his name? There's a YouTuber who used to be called Films at Home, and I can't remember. He switched his name to his real name, and I can't remember what it is. Jeff
Jeff
something. Yeah,
Jeff
Jeff something.
Ruscio
Yeah,
Ruscio.
something like that. Yeah, yeah. And he had an interesting opinion about. I think it was him that the people who run the movie companies don't have a love for movies, obviously, and the people who are in charge of say physical media for companies or archiving movies, they have the love for the physical media. They're the ones that believe in it, but the people
Yeah.
at the top, all they care about is the bottom line. And hey Mike,
Hey, Mike.
um good to see you, Mike. Thank you.
Uh, thank you. Good luck with your shoulder, dude.
Yeah,
That was
man.
gnarly pics, man. Wow. Yeah. And Dan says Tubi is growing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's absolutely growing, Dan. That's my favorite streaming service to go to because there's like I love Hamilton Books, not a sponsor yet. Hamilton Books, Hamilton Books. Okay, but
Not
when
yet.
they make not yet, but we'll work on that.
We'll work on that.
But when I go on there and they drop like their DVDs and stuff like that, I'll go on first thing. I'll just type in all the ones that were just dropped.
Mhm.
It'll add right to my Tubi playlist.
Yep.
You know, so it's like because you know I spend a lot of money Hamilton Book on Hamilton Book. I have an order coming in again, but
I
it's
just got a shipment yesterday.
did you really? Okay, so I got an order coming in too. So it's just like you know I just if something interests me that like I haven't seen before, I'm willing to take that $5 $4.95 or $5.95 shot on there.
Yep.
But if it's on Tubi, I'll watch it on Tubi. You know what I mean? But that's why I like it because you can find, and especially because a lot of stuff that Mr. Dan puts out with the Kung Fu Theater and a
Mhm.
lot of the especially the horror movies, except for the Hammer horror movies that you have to like go on the eBay and stuff like that. But if you go on there, they're right on Tubi that you
Yeah.
can check out. That's where I seen Dynamo last week when Dan had brought Dynamo up. I loved it. I couldn't. That French girl in that Dynamo movie was one of the hottest women I've ever seen in my
Oh
life.
yeah, I remember you mentioning that. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that was from 1978. So God knows what she looks like now. But 1978, she was smoking.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Tubi is I'm surprised Tubi isn't bigger, and you had shared that graphic, and I'm surprised Pluto TV isn't bigger.
Yeah.
Because even though Pluto TV is what they call an over-the-top service where they just have, continuous live streaming of multiple channels, it's basically like its own little cable service. Um,
Mr. Dave says he's got one too. That's awesome.
yep,
I think the three of us are like hardcore Hamilton book.
absolutely.
I know I'm last month I was two time, because I
I think
seen stuff that people had suggested after watching it, and I'm like, oh
uh
man, I missed that one.
Yep.
So I had to go back and get it.
I just got a small order yesterday. I only got four titles. I didn't get into all the Kino Lorber stuff that they had.
I missed them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I looked, and either it was all gone or it was just stuff that was not really appealing to me. So I didn't really get any stuff. But you'll see one of the things that I picked up is actually one of my movie picks for this week. So
cool. Yeah,
yeah.
there was two of them that I had in my cart, and when I went to check out, they were gone.
Oh wow, they came out of your cart.
Yeah, they were. It was Taking Care of Business with Jim Belushi, and that was one of the kinos that were there, and it was in my cart, and this was, I'm not kidding you, this was Tuesday morning. Like the drop was, because I know when it goes like blank and you can't get onto the to Hamilton Book, that they're dropping new stuff. Yep. So I think I was up until 2:30 on Monday. Couldn't get on. So woke up, got my shower, put my tea on for my water for my tea. And I'm like, well, let's go on to Hamilton Book. This was 7:30 in the morning. I put I think about 20 of them in my cart. And then I just whittle them down afterwards. And then when I got down to the cart, there was 8 in my cart because they had already sold out. And one of them was Taking Care of Business, and the other one was There's a Fish in My Tub with Jerry Stiller and Ann Mira.
Oh wow!
It was on. I remember watching it too. It was a CBS television event of the week, movie of the week on a Sunday, and it had Jerry and Ann, and then it had Jason Alexander, and then it had Ben Stiller, in little small roles.
Okay,
they weren't, but it was basically, it all happens in their apartment flat in Brooklyn, and Jerry Stiller was an older man who just lost his wife, and he met her buying. I'll give you the rundown. He met her buying schmear at a Jewish deli. So his son, Ben Stiller, said, "Come on, Dad, you ask her out." So he asked her back to his apartment, and she goes to the bathroom, and she noticed there's a fish in his tub. And that's the whole it just happens all in his apartment. It's like a romantic comedy. It was a really cute movie.
That's funny.
Yeah, so I missed, those were a couple of the ones I missed. That and Color of Night with Bruce Willis.
Oh yeah, I saw that one. I almost picked that up, but I guess it's gone.
Yeah, it's gone. So
yeah. So yeah, I think our topic may have run its course, because I think we've pretty much established that it's streaming, it's the internet, it's
yeah. I don't think we'll ever see the big the big summer blockbusters like you had mentioned in 75. Jaws. That was I don't think we'll ever see movies like that, because I had a couple of them that over the course of the years, because Will Smith was the big summer blockbuster guy, because he had Wild Wild West, Independence Day, Men in Black.
Oh yeah,
they were big one. Armageddon, Top Gun. They were, and one that I really personally liked that totally bombed at the box office was The Shadow with Alec Baldwin.
Oh wow, yeah.
I thought that was such a good movie. And another one that bombed at the movie theater when it came out, Young Sherlock Holmes.
Yep.
That was another one that was going to supposed to be like a tentpole movie and supposed to set up for different sequels and stuff, because Spielberg had that magic touch with Raiders and all that, and
Yep.
that movie
Well, he just produced that one though, didn't he?
Yeah, he produced it, but his
name was all over it.
His name was like all over it. It's like, Steven Spielberg presents.
Yep.
I think there was something in a column I read that Lucas wrote some of that too.
Mm-hmm. That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, that had a lot to do with because I think that came out in '86, and I think the production was right around the time Temple of Doom came out.
Yeah, that was '84.
Yeah, so because with pre-production and stuff like that, they had a lot going in. They had a lot going on with that movie, and it just, for some reason, it just, it died a quick death.
Yeah,
at the theater.
Yeah, it was one of those movies that probably should have appealed to me, and I probably was in the demographic for that. But at the time it came out, that was when I was in high school, and I was I was immature, but too mature for that kind of movie. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I gotcha.
Where I thought I was all that in a bag of chips. I was
okay.
like 17, and young Sherlock Holmes. Why would I go see that? That kind of thing. That was around. That was sort of in the phase like between '83 and like '86. If a movie was too kiddie, I wouldn't want to go see it, and I almost skipped out on Return of the Jedi for the same reason.
Wow.
But thankfully, I went to see it.
Yeah, Mr. Dan says about the Phantom.
Oh yeah,
that was another good movie. I think
I like the Phantom.
I did too, and I think this year I'm calling this already. I think you're going to see 2 years ago was the big Brendan Fraser rebuild of his career. I think you're going to see the same with Billy Zane if he gets nominated for that Marlon Brando biopic. I think you're going to, and then you're going to have everybody come out and say, "Oh, I was a big Billy Zane fan." Well, dude, you couldn't name any Billy Zane movies out there other than Back to the Future, or maybe the girls would Titanic.
Yeah, Titanic is going to be number one on everybody's list.
Yeah, so it's like, but I think Billy Zane's going to have a resurgence like Brendan Fraser did too.
Yeah. Yeah, you were talking to me about that. When's that supposed to come out?
December.
It's this year?
Award time, yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. So that's one to look forward to. If you guys don't know out there, Billy Zane's playing Marlon Brando in a biopic of his life. So, I didn't know that, Mr. Dan. Billy Zane got the Titanic role because of Phantom. I didn't know that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what he said. Wow, I didn't know that.
I'm going to pull up this. Upcoming Waltzing with Brando.
Waltzing with Brando. Yeah, that's my leader in the clubhouse for lead Oscars this year, Billy Zane. Because even on the picture, he looks exactly like Brando.
Holy crap! Look at that.
Yeah.
I wish there. Let me see if there's some better pictures. Well, is that him?
That's him.
Holy crap!
That's insane, isn't it?
Oh, these pictures are worthless, but that is.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Oh.
Yeah. You can still see it's Billy Zane or around his eyes.
Yeah, but it took me a hot minute to recognize him.
If you didn't know better, you would think that was him.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive. That is as much him as it is the makeup guy, but still. Oof.
Yeah, he. They had one where he was sitting on a chair, and I think he was making Doctor Moreau,
Hmm.
and just the cadence of his voice and stuff with the the drag and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was like, this guy's going to win an Oscar. There was nobody in my house when I said that, so but I'm sitting here and I'm like, and I'm mouthing to myself, this guy's going to win an Oscar for this. And that's when I sent you the pics, and
Yeah.
I showed you, and I'm like, this guy's front line for Oscar nomination. And I haven't.
Wow.
All I had seen was the pictures of him, and
Yeah.
I didn't see because there's no trailer yet, But
Yeah. That's what I was looking for, to see
I
if there was
seen
one.
I seen the pictures. I was like, oh man, this guy's going to be good.
That's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
If he acts half as much as he looks like him, wow, that's
I'm
crazy.
really surprised after I seen that. I thought of because I love Kenneth Branagh. Kenneth Branagh is like one of my favorite actors because I remember seeing Dead Again in the movies,
Yeah.
and I remember going, "What the hell just happened?" Because it used to be like the four of us that went. It was like me, my buddy, and my two buddies, Brian and Jimmy, used to go. And I remember turning to my brother, go, "What the hell just happened? What did we watch here?" So, and then of course we had to pass. So my brother goes, "Well, that was good. Let's watch it again." So we watched it twice in one sitting,
Oh, wow.
and it was just like. But Bron has always been captivated by Orson Welles, and I'm stunned he hasn't done a Orson Welles biography pick.
Yeah. Has there ever been one?
I don't think so. I
I was
know
gonna
they
say,
came out with a young Orson Welles, or like my summer with Wells or something. It wasn't that good. I think that
yeah.
came out in like the early 2000s, where it was basically everything that happened at the when he was preparing to do Citizen Kane.
Okay.
Like when he was at the academy, like the art school, and he was working under John Houseman and Joseph Cotton and those guys, and Olivier, like a young Olivier. It might have been called young young Laurence Olivier. I can't remember, but I did watch it because it had to deal with Orson Welles.
Mm,
That's like one of those, like, you'll have like people that like watch certain movies just for certain subjects. Anything with Orson Welles, I'll watch.
yeah. Yeah.
I'm just fascinated by him because I always thought he was British, and then to come to find out he was born in Kentucky. It's like the same with Johnny Depp. It's like, where the hell did this guy get an accent? He's from Kentucky,
Yeah.
you know?
Did you know Johnny Depp used to be in a rock band called I think it was the Rock City Angels?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he used to play guitar for him. He's in a band now with Alice Cooper and
Wasn't he in a band with Jared Leto too?
I don't. He may have played with him. I don't know if he was ever in a band with them.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know, but yeah, he's in a band called the Hollywood Vampires right now.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I bought Rock City Angels had an album. Not to get off track about movies and go into music, but Rock City Angels put out an album in 1988, I think it was, on Geffen Records, and they thanked Johnny Depp on the inside liner notes. And I did some research, and he used to be a member of the band. He used to play guitar for him. It
Oh,
was sort of
wow.
like a punk, sort of like a punk um, rockabilly type sound, at least on that album. They sort of came out right after Guns N' Roses, so a lot of people compared them to Guns N' Roses, and they didn't do very well. And unfortunately, their lead singer passed away a few years ago. But yeah, their first. I don't know if he was ever on an album with them. He may have been on their very first album. But
That's
yeah, Johnny
interesting.
Depp played in Rock City Angels.
Interesting.
That's your worthless trivia for today.
Sponsored by Tubi.
Yes, sponsored by Tubi. Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, we've had, for those who don't understand why we keep saying not yet on that, we've had a running joke on previous podcasts that we've been involved with that we've unsuccessfully tried to get Hamilton Book to be our sponsor, and then we talked about maybe getting Tubi to be a sponsor. I had suggested we're going to do a feature a little later in the show where Kenny's going to make his pick for his Tubi movie of the week. And I was going to maybe contact Tubi to see if I could use their logo on the show. But I figured I'd wait to do that before we got the first episode off the ground so we didn't get a cease and desist.
Yeah, because as much, I'm not kidding you, as many movies I'll watch, I'll say, Sean, hey, there's a good movie on Tubi you got to watch. I'll even say to Mr. Dan, I said, hey, this movie's on Tubi. You got to check this one out, because I'll usually try, because I'm for these people out there and say, does this guy have a job? I'm permanently disabled, so I watch movies basically all day, except for the Phillies or wrestling, But and first thing in the morning, I'll get my shower, put on my hot water for my tea, and I'll go on Tubi, see what. And since it's the first of the month, they have like all kinds of new stuff on there.
That's one question I actually never thought of. When do they rotate movies on Tubi? Is it at the beginning of the month?
Yeah, it's the beginning of the month, and usually if you go on Tubi, they'll have like a little box, like say you're watching Top Gun, okay? They'll have a little 6 on there, and it'll say 6 days left till this is gone.
Okay,
because there was a couple of them that I watched before the deadline that cuts them off.
Yeah,
and what I like about Tubi is not only as for older people that have to go to the bathroom, you get that 30 seconds to run to your bathroom before the movie comes back. But I like it as the movie goes longer, the interruptions get shorter too.
Right.
So you'll have like a first and there's none of them last more than 15 seconds.
Yep.
But I noticed like last night when I was watching one, the first 2, and there's only 4 of them in a movie too. The first 2 are 15 seconds, and then like as you go on watching the movie, they only last 5 seconds for an act.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
I don't think I've watched anything long enough to get the 5-second breaks.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So as a person that watches a lot of Tubi, I do appreciate that. But I do appreciate the bathroom breaks too. Because that's another thing as you get older going to the movies and stuff like that. It's like you don't want to go, especially being handicapped, you don't want to, stroll and miss like 15 minutes of a movie that you paid $85 to go see, So it's good that you got the remote, you can pause it, go to the bathroom, come back,
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I not to be too graphic, but I went to see James Bond movie with Daniel Craig, the name escapes me.
Spectrum, Casino Royale.
It was the one after. What's that? Skyfall. Yeah, it was Skyfall. Made it through the whole movie until the last 5 minutes. I could not wait any longer. I had to go, and I ran back, and the credits were on.
I did that one time. It was 1989. Okay, and this wasn't even in a movie theater. We at that time, kids, Mike Tyson was the heavyweight champion in the world, and he was beating the hell out of everybody. So we had rent the Michael Spinks, Michael Spinks. Yeah, it was Michael Spinks. And we had people at my house and stuff like that. We had pizza, wings, all this stuff. Okay. So I said to my brother, we spent 3 hours watching preliminary fights. Okay. Yep. So right at the time it was like, I said, man, I'm going to go to the bathroom. This is going to be a long fight.
Yep.
As soon as I come out of the bathroom, 15 seconds, I see people and they're like, okay, well, we'll see you tomorrow at the softball game. And it's like, I'm like, the hell's everybody going? I said, we still have pizza and wings. And my buddy's like crying so hard. He had tears running down his face. And I said, what are you laughing at, jackass? He goes, you missed the fight. You were in the bathroom. And I said, and my brother goes, yeah, he just knocked him out in 15 seconds. I went, I was only gone a minute. And he goes, well, it was 45 seconds too long, Ken. So I paid like $80 for this damn pay-per-view,
Oh
and I didn't
man.
even see it until I watched how they always have the highlights of the fight.
Yeah.
And so Jimmy goes, "Hey, do you have to go again? Because I don't want you to miss this." I'm like, "You smart ass." And it was just like I watched the whole 15 second the fight on there.
They
So
could play the whole fight as a replay.
yeah, so it was like, and I taped it. It was like when on the pay-per-views that you could tape. So I
Mm.
rewound it and watched it then. My mom goes, "Oh, did you boys enjoy the fight?" My brother goes, "Hey, ask Kenny about the fight." I was like, "Yeah, I was in the bathroom, Mom." And she goes, "You missed the fight. Oh, that's a shame. Did you watch? Do you know who won?" And I'm like, "Oh, Mom." But yeah,
Uh, that's hilarious.
yeah, that's my Mike Tyson. So every Mike Tyson fight afterwards, I always went to the bathroom before. I hit the I hit, I hit the bathroom before the preliminaries were done, and then when Mike came out, it was like, "All right, Mike, you can beat the hell out of him now. I'm
Yeah,
ready."
some of his fights, the ring introductions were longer than the fights were.
Yeah, especially with Michael Buffer. Are you ready? Ready?
Yeah.
Ready?
Oh
And
yeah.
it's like, yeah, okay, Mike. Your introductions lasted 3 times as long as the fight did.
All right. Well, I want to do our movie recommendations.
Yes.
All right. Who wants to go first? Do you want to go first? Do you want me
Yeah,
to
I'll
go
go
first?
first.
All right.
This is my physical movie recommendation, and the first one is it's an oldie but a goodie, Runaway, with Tom Selleck, Cynthia Rhodes, and I'm Gene Simmons from Kiss. So, and a very young Kirstie Alley. I think this was her second movie after Star Trek. Am I right,
Yeah,
Sean?
I believe
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
So this is a really good movie. I just got this off of Whatnot, as a matter of fact. Got it for $1 on Whatnot, and it's done by Michael Crichton, and it's about um, uh, Tom Selleck and Cynthia Rhodes are cops, but they're cops for a machine like robotics uh, place that they call the Runaway Unit, and
Mm-hmm.
the guy from MASH that played the cook on MASH, G.W. Bailey, he was the bad guy in Mannequin. He's his chief of police.
Oh wow, I didn't
Yeah,
realize that.
yeah, G.W. Bailey. He's the chief of police, and it's basically like the '80s crew, cliched movie. Hey, Ramsey, you better get this guy, and Gene Simmons is great in this movie. I really don't understand why he didn't get another role. Like, well, he's only touring with the greatest rock and roll band in the world, Kiss, but I don't understand why he didn't get more, villain parts in movies because he was really good in this. But this
He's
was
got a few.
what has he? I just seen him in this, and I know he was in that Trick or Treat with Ozzy,
Mm-hmm.
but I'd never seen that. But this movie is great. I love Tom Selleck movies, and this movie is one. If you can find it, watch it. I don't believe this is on any streaming services, unfortunately. So check your Goodwills, and if you're on the Whatnot, check that. But this is a really good movie. It's from 1984.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is when he was really. They were trying to get him more movie roles after Magnum blew
Yep.
up. So yeah, check
Yep.
that one out. Runaway.
Yep. I will highly recommend that one as well. I saw that in the theater when it came out.
Oh wow, great.
Because I went because of Gene Simmons, obviously, because I'm a huge Kiss fan. Um, and I second the fact that it's a good movie. It's a little corny now with
Yeah,
a lot of the technology is super dated, but it predicts quite a few things that actually came to be, like iPads are in there,
talking phones.
talking phones, video phone type
The video
things.
phones. I meant
Yeah,
we have talking phones.
yeah,
I just meant
but
the video because they did. It was funny because they did have an iPad on there,
mhm.
and they were working through the iPad to get. And I was like, this is 84. This ain't like the 2000s. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah,
There's so it's I mean Michael Crichton, the guy that did Jurassic Park. So um he directed it, didn't he?
yeah. He wrote
Yeah.
and directed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew he wrote it, but I couldn't remember if he directed it. But yeah, it's a solid movie. All right. Did you want to do your other one?
Yes, my Tubi movie of the week is from 2018, and it's called Avengers: Grim Time Wars. It's from another place that I love, the Asylum, the great people from the Asylum.
Oh,
So this is a take. I swear, this is a takeoff of Avengers and the TV show Grimm. Okay, so the villains in this are the Grimm fairy tale, the villains from the Grimm fairy tales. So the
ah,
Avengers have to assemble to take out the villains from the Grimm fairy tales. I love this movie. You guys are gonna like, go what's he drinking? When he's watching this. But I love that's another company that I'd like to work with, the Asylum, because I love their pictures. I think the Asylum are great movies. But this one, it's from 2018. It's basically when I think Infinity War came out. The Avengers, because they always try to do like mockumentaries of a new. So they just hit with Avengers. I think I want to say it's Infinity War, and it's the Grimm fairy tales. So
mhm.
that's my it hits two buttons that I love. It
That's
hits the Asylum, and it hits like the superheroes. So it's just like, so it's so bad it's good, you know. And it
they.
and it
Go ahead.
doesn't. I'm sorry, it doesn't like, it's only an hour and 18 minutes. Okay, so you're not going to be sitting there for an hour and 50 minutes going wondering what's happening, So these movies are only like 75, 78 minutes long, and they're just so much fun.
Yep. Yep.
So those are my you know two
All
movie
right.
selections this week. So
All
I'm looking
righty.
forward to yours.
Okay. Mine may be underwhelming compared to. Yeah, I know Kenny is a huge fan of the Asylum, and if you're not familiar with the Asylum, they're the company that is famous for back in the days of video stores. They were the people who put out what they called the mockbusters.
The
So
mockbusters, that's it. Not
yeah.
mockumentaries. Yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
mockbusters. Yeah.
Yeah. They would put out the mockbusters. So if, you sent grandma to the the video store to get Transformers and she'd come back with Transmorphers. Yeah.
Yes. That's
Some
exactly right.
yeah, something like that. So they would make these movies that weren't quite the same, but close enough. So it was like if, you went to Wish to buy um, the Avengers, you would get Avengers Grim Fairy Tales. What else have they done? They've done a hell of a lot of
Tomb Invader, not Tomb Raider.
yes.
Tomb
Yes.
Invader.
Yep.
They just did. I enjoyed these movies. There's three of them called the Top Gunner collection. There's
Yes.
Top Gunner, Danger Zone, and I'm not kidding you. That's the title. It's actually on. That's one of the titles I just picked up from Hamilton Book.
Okay.
And then spoiler alert for you people that watch my channel. And then Top Gunner, Russia versus USA. So it's basically Top Gun and Rocky 4 all melded in together. So I can't wait till that comes on Tubi.
That's
Oh,
funny.
and yes, that's another good one, Mr. Dan. Planet Dune. I bought that. That's also on Hamilton Book for $5.95. Not a sponsor, Hamilton Book, but Planet Dune, and it also has one of my favorites in it, Sean Young. I had such a mad crush for Sean Young in the '80s. Man, she was so smoking hot in No Way Out with
Hmm.
Kevin Costner, but she still looks good. Thank God, she cleared her problems up. But Planet Dune is really good, and Dune Runner also
Oh
is
boy.
yeah, these movies sound really crappy, but they're actually Dune Runner was actually really good. So
I don't remember where it was. I think there's a documentary on Shudder. Um, the name escapes me. It's crap. I'm gonna have to look it up because I reviewed it actually on my website. Let me look it up real quick.
I'm waiting for Shudder to come out with a promotion like I got last year, where it was like a year for like $40 or something like that.
Oh yeah,
You
they
know, it
they
was like half a year or something. I'm waiting for that to happen to get Shudder again.
yeah. If you're a horror fan, Shudder is amazing. I mean, it it's well worth it even at full price in my opinion. But
Yeah, actually, I basically got Shudder basically for Joe Bob.
yeah, for
That
Joe Bob, it's totally worth it.
yeah,
Totally worth it.
that's why I got it.
Um, yeah, the movie was called Sharksploitation, and
Oh,
it's
okay. I remember you telling me about that.
yeah, it's a documentary about shark movies, starting not with Jaws, but Jaws, of course, is the pinnacle of shark movies. It all comes back to Jaws. We started with Jaws,
Yeah,
we're coming back to Jaws,
there you go.
but it talks about Jaws and how Jaws spawned a lot of movie ripoffs. But they talked about Sharknado
Mhm.
and the Asylum and how the Asylum makes their movies. So I don't know if you've seen it.
No, I got it. I'll probably have to. I'll have to subscribe to Shutter again to get it.
Yeah, but they talk about how they make their movies, and basically they come up with the title first, and then they write the script around the title.
And it's like they always get like, especially because what's a shame was Eric Roberts was like a big up and coming actor in the early '80s,
Mhm.
and he had like his problems and stuff like that. But now when you're watching it, he's got like my aunt had very bad arthritis,
Mhm.
and her hands were like gnarl and the last one that the last Top Gun, I think it's Top Gunner Danger Zone,
Mhm.
his hands, like when he's holding his phone, he's holding it and his hands are like all different ways, like
Yeah.
he having problems because I think he deals with arthritis really very bad, and I felt bad for him,
Yeah.
watching it. And it was the same with the other one that I got from the Hamilton book was Bullet Train. It was Bullet Train, but it was a spoof on Bullet Train,
Mhm.
and Tom Sizemore, that was his last role, Tom Sizemore, and
Oh.
he looked horrible. He looked absolutely. He was so bloated, and he was like sweating, and he
Yeah, you
like
were saying, yeah.
yeah, and he was like sweating during it, and it was terrible to see him like that, because when you see him in like Heat, or if you watch him in Saving Private Ryan, you see this man. What a promising young actor, he
Yeah.
was, and bad
Yeah.
decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I think we were talking on Instagram, I think, about him, weren't we? Tom
Yeah,
Sizemore? Yeah.
yeah. I think that's where I'll get the name of that movie from the Hamilton book, because it just came up on my order thing when I when I placed my order.
All right. Well, I'll throw out my recommendations here. I'll do my physical media one first. And this is one that I just picked up from Hamilton Book. Just came in yesterday. It is an older movie. It's a documentary. Um, you may have seen it. It was on CNN of all places too. It was actually made by CNN Films. Um, but it is. Let me see if my camera will pick it up without Blackfish.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you're aware of this movie, but it is older. I haven't seen it in a little while, but it is a documentary about what happens to orcas in captivity. Um, and I don't know how well the stats hold up um, now, because it was made in 2013, I think. But it's basically telling you about what happens mentally to orcas when they're in captivity, and unfortunately, some whale trainers have been killed by orcas in captivity.
Oh wow.
And it's basically if you were kept prisoner in your bathtub all day, because orcas are intelligent creatures, very close, if not more so intelligent than humans. Who knows? They're meant to roam the sea, and for our entertainment, we put them in bathtubs basically and make them perform for food.
Right.
And that doesn't really go over too well.
That's
so,
true.
um, so it's basically, how they're obtained and what how they're captured out of the wild and then forced to be bred from SeaWorld to SeaWorld. And it's a hard movie to watch, but it's definitely worth a watch. I know it's prompted some changes. Canada has passed some laws since its release that they won't be allowing any new um, cetaceans to be kept in captivity. I believe. I may be wrong, and my facts may not be correct, but I know it's there's been some laws changed as a result of the movie, but it's still well worth watching, even though it may be a little bit dated at this point. But that would be my physical media watch of the week. Not
Cool.
necessarily a happy watch of the week, but a good watch. And then my streaming watch of the week. I'm not sure what streaming service you might find this on right now. I watched it on Tubi. I don't know if it's still there. I know it was on Netflix. I don't know if it's still there, but it's a movie called Trapped with Kevin Bacon and Charlize Theron.
Oh, I
Um,
seen that. That's a very good one.
yeah, Courtney Love,
Yeah.
um, and Kevin Bacon, and I forget the guy who plays his partner. Let me look it up. Pruitt Taylor Vince.
Yes. He was good in a movie called Heavy with Liv Tyler.
Okay,
Really good. Really good movie. Deborah Harry's in it.
haven't heard of that one.
Blondie. Yeah, it's about this guy was like a big fat guy like me, and he was like picked on all of his life and stuff like that. And he falls in love with Liv Tyler, who's like they live in this like little rural town, like
Mhm.
in like I'll say Montana or something. And Deborah Harry is his mother,
Oh,
and he falls in love with Liv Tyler by like doing like little things for her, and he just loses it one time when these kids come in and just start to tease him and stuff like that. And he
what's the
goes
name
like,
of that one?
it's called Heavy,
Heavy. Okay.
and it's really I cannot find it anywhere because I'd like to keep a copy. It was like one of those like when I had cable, it came on like HBO like at like 1 o'clock in the morning when I couldn't one night I couldn't sleep, and I was like so intoxicated, and his eyes are just like he's got those eyes like that are like sort of like D'Onofrio's.
Mm-hmm.
Vincent D'Onofrio's, where he's got that like hypnotic trance to it, where it's like his eyes got like there was like one time where he was like crying, and you could see like his eyes were so glassy,
Yeah.
but there was so much pain in his face, just his pain in the face from the eyes, and it was sort of like the D'Onofrio scene in Full Metal Jacket
Yep.
when he's sitting there, and it's like he didn't have to say a word, just his eyes
Yep.
said
Yep.
the whole scene. And I've never been able to find that even on like the Whatnot or something like that,
Yeah, I'll have to
But
start looking
yeah,
for that.
heavy. It's like one of those movies that you watch and it sticks with you. And let me look up. I want to say it was like early like 2000s. I want to say 1995. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it's on the Netflix.
Oh, okay. Well, I
Okay.
will check it out.
Yeah. The life of an overweight, unhappy cook changed after a kind, beautiful college dropout comes to work as a waitress at his mother's roadhouse. There you go. I know Deborah Harry's the mom because I'm
Well,
like watching. That's when Liv Tyler was like really hot, mid '90s. Like
yeah.
she's smoking hot now, but I just meant like big
Yeah,
actress.
that was like her prime.
Yeah, Prime, when she was in the Aerosmith videos and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to double check because I just recommended Trapped on Netflix, and that is a totally different movie called Trapped on Netflix right now. So that's not the Trapped I'm talking about. So let me see if it's on Tubi.
Yeah, it's on Pluto TV, Sean.
Okay. There we
Pluto
go.
TV.
Pluto TV. So there you go. It's on Pluto TV. We'll find my streaming recommendation is on streaming somewhere. It is on Pluto TV. Thank you,
Yeah,
Kenny.
you're welcome. I if I find a movie that people like recommend, like I write it because I literally have a book right beside me and a
Mhm.
pen that I just like write down. So when I'm watching these videos, I'll just write them down. And especially people give the years out because you don't, like Sean just said, you don't know how many trap movies are out there,
Yeah.
or especially like the one word titles, and then you're look. Sometimes the IMDb doesn't have like a full glossary of them, so you really have to do a deep dive on the Google and stuff like that. So giving the years for these movies, especially when it's like a one word title like heavy,
Yep.
you'll get confused with like heavyweights or stuff like that. So
Which is a good movie.
oh, that is a very good movie. Absolutely. But I just didn't want it to be confused, a lightweight family comedy to like a heavy duty, this guy
Right.
starts shooting people.
Right. Yeah. I didn't really talk about the plot of Trapped, but basically it's Kevin Bacon and his partner, they have this sort of routine that they go through where they'll kidnap um children and then hold them hostage and then basically extort the families for money. Well, they kind of get into a situation where they kidnap Charlize Theron's kid, and there's a situation that arises, and I won't really get into the plot, but
Hmm.
um, it's pretty interesting. Is it the greatest movie ever made? No, but it's entertaining, and I watched it one afternoon, and I got kind of engrossed in it, and it was kind of a pleasant surprise. So it's like a 7 out of 10 type of movie, but
Yeah.
it's
The
not something
first
I
20
will.
minutes get you engrossed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't have watched it um, if I wasn't interested in it. Obviously, I mean, sometimes you'll just sort of sit and zone out and watch whatever, but it kind of hooked me, and I just got into it, and kind of a little roller coaster ride. It kind of took me in places I didn't think it was going to go, and
Yeah.
ultimately, it's forgettable, but it's fun. So that was
Mhm.
my streaming recommendation for this week. So, um, all right, so we are right about on schedule. How about that?
Yeah.
Look at us go.
Did we time that out or what? Round of applause.
So yeah, so next week we're going to talk about what we talked about it a little bit yesterday. Was going to be movies that were thought to be big hits, but then ended up flopping and then being big hits in the video
Yeah.
stores and on cable. And I'm going
Movies
to
that
have to.
had like such high like intention. Like, uh, I'll give you a spoiler for one of them. Clue.
Yep. Yeah.
That's one of them that came out with this huge cast, and we just lost Martin Mull this week.
Yeah. Yeah.
This week, and it's just like one that like totally bombed when it came out in the movies, and then when it hit video stores, especially video stores, not even cable, when it hit video stores,
Hmm.
I think the mark. We'll go into it more in our next podcast, but I think the marketing was wrong with it. Um, they they didn't pull up the comedy aspects of the movie too much, and the three endings. Yeah,
Hmm.
back in that time when it came out in '85, on Fridays when you got the newspaper, Deptford 8 had A, Deptford 6 had a Regal movie had C. So if you didn't go see all three of them, you'd go in and talk to your friends, or when you're seeing people, in school going, "Hey, did you see Clue over the summer?" Yeah, well, which one did you see? Oh, it was the one that missed blah blah blah. Oh no, I didn't see that one. Oh well, you should have seen that one. Well, which one was that? So it was like kind of they've really like screwed the pooch on that. But there's like so many. You probably have an example of one, right?
Um, I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head.
I know Big Trouble in Little China was another one. That was it only made $11 million in the box office, and it made 11 and it cost $18 million to make. But that was another one that took off after like video stores. Not even cable. It was video stores that made that movie. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah. That's a movie that I don't even think I remember being in theaters. It was like bang. It was like
Yeah,
hot in the.
it lasted one. I remember that vaguely because I mean vividly because we went to see that movie opening night, and there was four people on a Friday night in the theater because it was. That's another one. If you look at the original trailer for it, they marketed that so wrong. You
Yeah.
know,
Well.
they marketed it as a comedy
Hmm.
because it's the classic one where they have Kurt Russell with the lipstick after he gets kissed by Jack Burton, me.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then they're also saying during the trailer, if you watch early trailers of it, it was like Kim Cattrall from Temple of Doom, you know, and Kurt Russell from Escape from New York, and John Carpenter's.
Yeah.
And it's like they market it as a wacky comedy. If you watch the original trailer for it, they actually market it as a comedy,
Oh boy.
where it's not an action movie. And I'm like, because I remember my mom saying, "This ain't a comedy. This is an action movie," you
Hmm.
know. And I said, "Yeah, well, if you watch," and she goes, "I am watching it." And she got like really pissed off because it wasn't a comedy because my mom would only go see comedy movies in
Oh,
the
okay.
movies. So she was like, if I'd known that, I wouldn't have come to see it. And I'm like, well, I'm kind of glad she enjoyed the movie because she only went to see it because Kurt Russell was in the movie
Okay.
because she remembers him from all the Disney movies.
Oh,
And
like the was he in the computer wore tennis shoes?
yeah, the computer wore tennis shoes and the yeah, so the world's strongest man. And I
Yep.
said to mom, I said, Mom, this is not going to be, a Disney movie. And she keeps on, and she's like, she was mad. She was like legitimately hot at me and my brother for suggesting this movie. And I'm like, you're yelling at a 14, 12-year-old kid because they suggested this movie,
Oh boy.
But she really thought it was going to be a Disney movie.
Well, I was gonna suggest this. This is probably towards the tail end of home video, but Team America, World Police.
Yeah,
That I, I went to the theater to see that. I was literally the only person in the theater. But
really.
yeah, and that was the summer of
Wow.
2004. I was the only person in the theater opening day.
Wow.
And now I think more so on cable than video. A lot of people have seen it. Um, and
There
I
you
think
go.
everybody can probably quote at least part of that movie
Yeah,
or something from that movie.
that's something like I'm not a big like South Park guy.
Yeah,
I just don't really, and I remember seeing it because I don't like the. Now I'm one that actually went to see Andrew Dice Clay in concert. The
I
concert
did
that
too.
was the concert that was filmed in Hirsch Valley Forge Music Center that was on the HBO.
Hmm.
That's the one where I seen where he yells to the guys, "Get the f up!" After they said "Mother Goose," I there, like that. And yeah, we seen that in concert, and that was another one, Adventures of Ford Fairlane. That
Yeah.
wasn't all over.
Oh,
That was like I seen that in the Ritz in Philadelphia.
wow.
You know, because I wanted to see it because Dice was so damn popular at that time.
Hmm.
You
Yep.
know,
Yep. I remember my Ford Fairlane memory, which is going to be one that I doubt anybody can share, is I remember I was building the print of that film because it broke in the projection booth, and
Really?
I wanted to leave early because I had the next day I had a Kiss concert to go to in Pittsburgh, and I wanted to go home and get some sleep because we were going to get up and drive down to Pittsburgh to see Kiss. But yeah, Ford Fairlane, the print would not stay put together for some reason. I don't remember why. I don't remember who built it, but it kept breaking in the projector, so I had to keep going up there and fixing it.
Oh wow.
And I never ended up seeing the movie. I wanted
Oh, you
to.
never did?
I've
Oh
never
man.
seen that movie. I wanted to see it, but I never saw it.
Oh, I just remember Al Bundy was in it. He's like boogeyman, boogeyman, boogeyman. You know, and I always remember that from it. And plus the great video that Billy Idol did, "Rock the Cradle of Love." Who
Oh
wasn't
yeah,
in love?
that was from that.
Yeah, who wasn't in love with that girl?
Oh
Holy
yeah,
smokes!
I
Gee,
haven't thought
God,
about
Little
that in a long
Fishes.
time. There's a
Yeah,
song that wouldn't come out today.
oh, the video would be banned. Are you kidding me? You just
Actually,
like
you never even hear that song on the radio anymore.
no.
No, that like disappeared.
The other one that you don't hear like on stations either, "Hot for Teacher." You'll see it like on the YouTube playing
Hmm.
for, but you won't hear. Oh man, because I remember saying to my niece, and I played that for her because she's this is stupid. I said, "Yeah, hon, this is something that would never be played today." You know, I'm
Mm-mm.
hot for teacher.
Nope.
That would never be played today.
Nope. 17 by Winger.
Girls on Film by
Yeah.
Duran Duran. I remember when
Christine.
that was banned. Remember when that was banned on the
Yep.
MTV?
Yep. Christine 16 from Kiss.
Mm.
Yep.
Probably like we were talking before the show, "Relax" by Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and this is how naive as a kid I was, because we were talking about, you know how like the baseball players have walk up music when they come up.
Yeah.
So when we were playing like wiffle ball or softball back in the back in the 80s, we always had like walk up music for
Hmm.
our team, right? So mine was "Stroke" by Billy Squire.
Yeah.
I didn't know what that was about at the time, because I'm just thinking, because I was so into sports, I was just thinking he's like stroking the ball.
Yeah.
You
Uh-huh.
know, hitting. I had no idea what that meant, because I remember one of the guys from the other team says, "You really do know what that means, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, he's hitting the ball. No, raking, getting some hits." No, and he's like, "No, Ken, that's not what he means by that." And then he told me, I was like, "Well." I turned to my brother. I said, "Well, I got to come up with new walk-up music. I ain't playing that anymore, you know."
Yep.
But
Yeah. Now they go to prison.
yeah,
Um,
exactly. Oh yeah, that's true.
yep. That's funny. But yeah, so I'm gonna have to figure out how to condense next week's topic into an actual tagline. Movies that were supposed to be hits that weren't, that ended up being popular later. We'll work on that.
Yeah, we'll work on that.
But we'll come up with some stuff. We'll have a topic. We'll do some more movie recommendations. Hopefully get some more viewers. We'll get some more audience interaction. I want to thank you guys for dropping in the comments tonight. Mike,
Yes.
Dan, Patrick.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate it for our first show too.
Yeah,
It's
it was
exciting.
very, very good turnout for the first show. And I did find the name that we were thinking about changing the name of the show to, which was "Two Aging Gen X Guys Talk About Movies You've Never Heard of Because You Weren't Born Yet."
That's so true. Because when you get those blank stares from them, it's like, yeah, they've never heard of this movie before.
No.
We'll end with this one, because I'll never forget. I went to Movies Unlimited, where I worked, was across the street from a Blockbuster. So, like, of course, my brother, even though he could get free rentals from, they weren't like all the newer stuff that he wanted.
Right.
And plus, he used to rent like Nintendo games and PlayStation games, and we were just movies.
Right.
We were the hot people because we had porn. in our movie place where Blockbuster did it. Well, anyway, I went there and it was Christmas time, and they had this monster huge DVD set of Citizen Kane. And I said to the girl, I said, "Oh, I said, how much is that new set?" Because they just had them like laying out like on a table, and it didn't have like any pricing on it. And she goes, "Oh, is that the new Tom Cruise movie? We got like 80 copies of that." And I'm like, she was thinking I was talking Jerry Maguire, and not Citizen Kane. I'm like, "Honey," and I picked it up and I'm like showing her, and it's like it was like a monster. It was like one of those like old Bibles that
Yeah.
your parents had, and it had like the script. It had a book, and she goes, "Oh my God, who's in that? Is that Pauly Shore's movie?" And I looked at her. I said, "Oh, I am not going anywhere with this girl." I said, "Thank you, hon. I really appreciate it." She said, "Okay." And that was before cell phones, so she just wanted to get away from me. And I
Right.
came out and I told my brother about it, and he's like, "Citizen, the Orson Welles." I said, "Well, first she thought it was Tom Cruise, and then I said she thought it was Pauly Shore." And my buddy Brian looked at her and he goes, "Well, was she hot?" I'm like, "Yeah, she was hot, but she was stupid." You know,
Oh man.
I'll never forget that. That's like my favorite Blockbuster moment of all the years going there. And she goes, "Oh, that new Pauly Shore movie," and she talked like that too. I'm not even making it up.
Oh man. That's hilarious.
Ditzy
That,
blonde.
that's sad, but yet hilarious.
Yeah.
All right. All right, Kenny,
All
and
right.
everybody that's watching. We're going to wrap it up for the week, but we will be back on the 16th of July. We're going to be here every other
Bi-weekly.
Tuesday. And Patrick was in the chat a little earlier. Have Cheetah Will View. We are actually going to be on his channel next week as
Yes.
guests with him on his show, 8 Questions With. So if you want to learn a little bit more about us, you can drop in on his channel and see us
And
there.
go visit our friends, Mr. Dan's Horror,
Mm-hmm.
on the YouTube. He has a great channel.
Yep.
I've lots of cool information. Our buddy Mike, Mike D, he has a great channel too. He really deep dives into movies
Yes, he does.
like Mr. Dan does. And of course,
Yep.
Patrick Have Cheetah Will View. He does lots of cool interviews with famous people from the horror world, and he's my fellow IFC fan too.
Yes.
So we'll
Absolutely.
get into that. Since this is our first show, I won't get into too many of the IFC fever.
Well,
But
we
has,
we will definitely do that as a topic, and in the future, we do plan to have some guests on. So it's not going to just be the 2 aging Gen X guys yelling at clouds.
We'll have a third one, Mr. Dan. I invited Mr. Dan on, so we'll have 3 aging Gen X guys on for with Mr. Dan. So
Awesome. So we'll make that happen. So thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it, and I will be putting these up on the regular video section as well on the Talking Movies channel, so you can download them later or watch them later if you didn't catch it live. And if you didn't catch it live, you're not watching this right now. So I don't know why I'm saying it. All right. So thanks everybody.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
Ya.
Bye.
Bye.